The Dam clan settled in the Shaanxi province, not far from the southern part of the Taihang Mountains, and was quite powerful. For many generations, the Dam clan family managed 5 large entertainment houses, where visitors indulged in various pleasures. This business helped the clan accumulate enough wealth to gain favor with the authorities and generously bestow them with bribes. However, it was not only wealth that brought fame to the Dan family. Special secret ingredients obtained in the pleasure houses allowed them to create unique beverages. Both the liqueur and the elixir excellently restored vitality, contributed to the increase of inner energy, but obtaining them was challenging, and the composition itself was kept in strict secrecy. Even the taste of the beverages was addictive, so people were willing to pay enormous amounts to try these miraculous concoctions again. The head of the Dam family, Che Song, offered this product to high-ranking officials, establishing not only business partnerships but also friendly relationships with them. All of this was necessary for the man to fulfill his ambitions and become a substantial, significant figure in society. Che Song and his associates gathered in a vast hall. The men dined and discussed the possibility of taking over Murim. The clan now had enough power to execute this plan, and moreover, all the gold that once belonged to the Yang family now belonged to the Dam clan. The head of the clan knew that there was a lot of gold in the Yang mines, and now subduing the arrogant Murim was only a matter of time. Once, the Yang and Dan families entered into a contractual marriage, marrying their children, and now this decision seemed brilliant to the man. Distracted from his thoughts, Che Song told his associates not to rush because it was necessary first to eliminate the Yang family, which had become useless to the clan. Along with the Yang family, the man planned to bury Dam Huayan, who had become a pawn in his ambitious plans. Suddenly, the doors flew off their hinges, and the guards standing at the entrance collapsed to the floor, right at the feet of the dining people. The men were surprised by this sudden intrusion. No one dared to interrupt their meal, especially in such a bold manner. However, the guards couldn't stop the intruder. They did try, and it was evident from the condition of the warriors lying on the floor of the hall. In the doorway appeared the tall figure of a man. He was very angry, as indicated by his tightly clenched fists. The men jumped up, expressing their outrage that the stranger dared to disturb the family gathering. The boldest ones rushed forward, drawing their swords and pointing them at the intruder. Approaching the men, many recognized the unfamiliar face as Yun Wai-chan, the young man Dam Huayan had been married to. One of the men decided to capitalize on the element of surprise by attacking the young man, but the hero was prepared for such a turn of events. The young man skillfully dodged the attack of the warrior, who considered Wai-chan's intrusion into the hall where the Dam family had gathered to be outrageous. Defending himself, the young man struck the attacking man in the face with his fist, breaking his nose. With the next blow, he pushed the warrior away, and the man flew right onto the table of the head of the Dam clan. The blow was not intentional, but Wai-chan considered it fortunate and smirked to himself. He was ready to confront the clan leader. Meanwhile, Che Song was furious. Some youngster from the Yang family dared to challenge him, the most outstanding and significant figure of the era. The man decided to use his signature move, the Divine Fist, to defeat the rogue, but the young man skillfully dodged it. The hero not only avoided the blow but also managed to grab the clan leader by his clothes, giving him a good shake. The man didn't expect to find so much strength in the ordinary young lad. He never considered him an equal and never even saw him as a potential adversary. Pushing off the ground and guided solely by his inner energy, Wai-chan leaped high above the floor. The hero was ready to deliver his signature move, the 1,000-pound kick, to his opponent. Taking careful aim, the young man's foot forcefully pressed the old man to the floor, sending dust and splinters flying across the hall. The close associates of the clan leader were shocked by what was happening in the hall. They stood ready, not intervening in the duel. occasionally shouting words of support to their leader and expressing a wish for the intruder's demise. When the men saw Chae Song's defeat, they tried to surround the young man from all sides. Such audacity could not go unpunished. Wai Chan understood the warrior's plan, and with a swift push of his foot from the floor, he soared upward. The men were puzzled. They had already seen the hero perform this trick, but it seemed as if the young man had simply vanished. At that moment, the guards regained their senses, and the warriors hurled their throwing axes at the young man. It took great effort for Wai Chan to dodge the deadly weapons approaching him at an incredible speed. Both axes, thrown at the hero, firmly embedded themselves into the carved beam adorning the ceiling of the hall. However, Wai Chan was unharmed, and this caused bewilderment on the faces of the guards. Few could evade even one axe, and now there were two. It seemed like the young man froze under the ceiling, but in reality, he was preparing to deliver a demonic whirlwind strike. The hero's attack was powerful. Even knowing the imminent threat, the opponents didn't manage to put up a block. Wai Chan quickly incapacitated one of the guards. The man fell to the floor with a crash, and the hero soared above him again, preparing for the next attack. The second guard called for help, urging all the warriors nearby to come to his aid. Wai Chan heard the man's words and only smiled. These fools didn't know what they were doing. Defeating them all with one strike would be much easier than chasing after each one. A loud whistle sounded. It was a signal to the members of the Dan clan to gather urgently. In the distance, the sound of hundreds of footsteps could be heard, and the soldiers instantly reacted to the whistle. All the warriors who were on the premises rushed toward the building from which the sounds of the struggle emanated. The soldiers assessed the situation and surrounded the associates, protecting the men from the dangerous stranger. Wai Chan watched with a smirk as the events unfolded in the hall. It was advantageous for him that they were so busy and actively grouped together in one place. Gathering his strength, the hero closed his eyes, focused energy in his hands, and let out a loud exhale. Swiftly, he began to pound the wall behind him with his fists. His blows were so powerful that cracks started appearing in the supports. The men were surprised by this turn of events. They had intended to fight the guy, but he turned his back to them and battled with the wall. Suddenly, a golden light shone in the center of Wai Chan's palm. The light was so bright that it blinded those around him, and the soldiers squinted their eyes. Without wasting time and putting all his strength into it, the guy struck the largest column with his glowing palm. The pillar cracked, and the men standing behind the hero exclaimed in astonishment. Was he using his inner energy to destroy the column? Meanwhile, members of the ruling Dan clan ordered the soldiers not to pay attention to the guy's actions but to act, as he was alone, and they were a whole crowd. Of course, the hero heard the whispers behind him and the orders, but he needed the column to deal with the incoming crowd of warriors. He hurled the column at the men, and they scattered in different directions. Some were hit, while others managed to dodge. Wai Chan intensified the pressure and repelled the next squad of warriors with a wooden log. The men were not prepared for the fact that the guy would start attacking using makeshift means. The battle continued, and neither side wanted to give in. It was astonishing how one person repeatedly defeated squads of professionally trained warriors. The hero did not pause for a minute. He destroyed his enemies, giving his best and showing no mercy. Soldiers fell and cried out in despair. They were outraged. Everyone wondered where this guy got such powerful strength and how he became so mighty. Indeed, now just looking at Wai Chan was terrifying. The guy seemed to be driven mad by the force that erupted onto his opponents in powerful waves. Realizing that the opponent was stronger than a whole army, the warriors decided to retreat. It was the only way to survive, as they were shamefully losing this battle. However, the hero was not inclined to let anyone leave the battlefield and launched the wooden log after the men. The powerful projectile whizzed through the entrance arch, and the soldiers looked up in fear, scrambling to hide as quickly as possible. However, not everyone could avoid colliding with the column. With a crash, the log fell on the street, causing damage to the fleeing men. Wai Chan was furious. He wanted to deal with these traitors once and for all, and they turned out to be so cowardly that they couldn't even respond adequately to the attack. The hero broke another wooden log and again launched it after the retreating soldiers from the battlefield. In the midst of what was once a spacious hall, there was no free space left. Everywhere, there were splinters and piles of stones. Most of the opponents were defeated. One warrior survived, trembling with fear. He got up from the floor and looked around. The sight was incredible. The man couldn't believe that all this destruction could be done by just one guy, without assistance, relying solely on his inner energy. From the dust cloud emerged the figure of Wai Chan. The hero was more composed now, but his determination was just as strong as when he first stepped into this hall. The soldier shrank in fear. He feared for his life because the stranger spared no one. Fighting him now, one-on-one, was pointless. Any actions of the warrior were doomed to fail. Drenched in sweat, the man managed to utter the question that interested everyone who had been here before. Who is this guy? Wai Chan stopped. The soldier's question did not surprise him. The hero not only saw but also felt the fear emanating from the man. The hero turned around and answered the man's question. He is a messenger who came to condemn and punish the dishonorable deeds of the Dan clan. The village was shrouded in smoke, and the fire spread from one house to another, consuming everything in its path. People were rushing out of their shelters, trying to save themselves and their most valuable possessions. However, sword-wielding bandits awaited them on the streets. Through the flames, a man made his way to an elderly man who couldn't comprehend what was happening in the village or where the fire originated. The village elder explained to the approaching man that bandits had attacked, and upon hearing these words, Wai Chan literally froze. The elder, who was also the man's father, urged him. The old man wanted their family to survive, and Wai's son had to save them while his father dealt with the bandits. The old man hurried his son because he still couldn't believe the reality of what was happening. Wai Chan gathered his family and looked back. He understood that the chance to escape from this ruin would cost his father's life. Making their way through the burning settlement with his loved ones, the hero wanted to help his friends and neighbors, guiding them along with his family. In a moment, the man heard a familiar scream and looked back. It seemed like the sound was very close, but due to the smoke, it was impossible to discern anything. The hero told his family to move forward without him, startling his young wife who didn't want to leave him here. However, Wai Chan was determined. They had already overcome dangerous stretches of the journey together, and he decided to go back to help others. The man followed the voice that unmistakably belonged to his younger sister, Shay. Through the smoke, the hero saw Shay sitting on the ground, a man with a sword standing over her, his face hidden behind a mask. Wai Chan was genuinely enraged. Shay was still a child. He shouted at the bandit, ordering him to stop. Without hesitation, he attacked the man, putting all his strength and power into the blow. However, the scoundrel managed to evade. Moreover, he counterattacked, and the strength of the warriors was clearly unequal. The hero couldn't deflect the blow or maintain his defense. Wai Chan dropped his sword, fell to the ground, and flew several more meters. The bandit's strike was so powerful. He was shocked by the man's strength. Externally, the physical capabilities of the man didn't differ much from Wai Chan's own. The man shouted, demanding answers about who these marauders were and what they wanted. The stranger disdainfully removed his mask and looked at the hero. It was Dam Shin-ho. Next to him appeared a woman with a scar on her face, also familiar to the hero, Dam Bai-yun. Wai Chan was angered. He knew these people well and couldn't understand why they had attacked the peaceful residents of the Yun settlement. Shay also recognized the attackers. She had somehow acquired a knife and rushed at the traitor Shin-ho. However, the girl was not cautious. The warrior noticed her, swiftly turned 180 degrees, and struck first. In Wai Chan's eyes, the traitor Dam Shin-ho turned into a murderer, and his sister died without avenging the man for the attack on the village. Now this mission was sacred for the hero. Every member of the Dam clan became a blood enemy for Yun Wai Chan, deserving nothing but death. Wai Chan attempted to attack the enemy, but compared to the warrior, he was truly weak. Even the virtuoso swordsmanship couldn't save the hero from defeat in this confrontation, especially since the traitor Ho's sister intervened in the battle. Bai-yun simply thrust her weapon forward and made a lunge toward our hero. That was enough for the sword to fatally wound Wai Chan. The hero fell to the ground. He could no longer move, resist his enemies, or avenge the betrayal of the Dam family. His consciousness was fading. The last thing Wai Chan saw was the scar on the killer's face and the disdainful smirk of Bai-yun. It was the end. Behind, frozen in horror, stood the hero's wife. She didn't understand what struck her more, the death of her husband or the fact that the clan to which she belonged had caused this cruel fire. At the entrance of the cave sat a young man, lost and staring into the distance with vacant eyes. In an instant, as if some veil had lifted from him, the young man jumped to his feet, carefully examining himself. He is 27 years old, and he distinctly remembers coming to this cave in the hope of waiting out a heavy rain. Perhaps he dozed off, and all these sensations were from a dream. In the hero's mind, the silhouettes of Shin-ho and Bai-yun from the Dam clan flashed. These people stirred a storm of emotions within the young man. They were the ones who destroyed the family and wife of Wai Chan, attacked, set fire to, and exterminated the settlement, the heads of Yun. The more the hero thought, the more he realized that this bad dream was his reality. Now the Dam clan is the archenemy of the Yun family. Thunder rumbled, and immediately after it, very close to the cave, a flash of lightning flickered. Wai Chan realized that he was dreaming. The hero simply went back 15 years. Bai-yun and Shin-ho from the Dam clan were not just brother and sister, they were twins, and the Shaanxi territory was their empire. In the clan from an early age, they were called nothing less than emperor and empress. The little ones knew no limits, and very often they troubled their nannies with their bad behavior. The children inherited the cruelty and ruthlessness of their father, Dam Chai's son, and the first manifestations of these qualities occurred when they were 5 years old. The kids came up with a finger game and started collecting the fingers of people from the nearest village. Many lost their limbs at that time. At the age of 15, the Dam twins practiced martial arts, and they wanted to create their own organization. The method they chose for their gang was based on ancient scriptures, and the gang itself consisted of small children resembling gnomes. They named the organization So Sar Wai, and the skills of those trained here were incredibly high. Anyone who dared to oppose the members of the organization died without hesitation. Rumors about the gang circulated widely, but few could confirm the truth. The gates of the building where the head and council of the Dam clan usually gathered were completely smashed. Chaos and debris surrounded the area. When the Dam twins entered, they were greeted by a horrifying sight. The hall was completely destroyed, and soldiers lay on the floor amid the rubble. The young men were surprised and did not understand who caused such significant destruction, who had the strength and courage for it. Several warriors tried to get their friend out of the dangerous zone and saw approaching lords. They did not expect to meet the damn twins here and were very excited. Shin-ho shouted as loudly as he could, asking who had done such a thing to the hall and the damn family members. The man was furious and wanted to avenge the audacity of someone who dared to step on their territory. One of the warriors, shaking and stuttering, began to tell how Yun Wai-chan broke in. He did not know what this information would cost him, but he could not hide it. The twins were surprised. They knew that Wai-chan was the husband of Dam Hua-yun, but they did not understand how this weakling gained the courage and audacity to do such a thing. The woman drew her sword from its sheath. She was as outraged as her brother. Bai-yun never considered Wai-chan a worthy opponent. What's more, she was outraged that everything around was in ruins, her family suffered, and some soldiers survived. The girl decided to justly deprive them of their lives. Finishing off the useless guards who could not protect their lords and their home but managed to save their lives, Bai-yun looked displeased at her brother. He gave silent consent to further actions, and Bai-yun called her faithful assassins, who had never let down their leaders before. The woman immediately ordered to seize Yun Wai-chan. Most likely, he was now approaching the Yun village, and subordinates should hurry to avoid the wrath of the young mistress. At the same time, Shin-ho gritted his teeth and said that he did not understand what happened, but he would tear this wretch from the Yun family into pieces, starting with his fingers. The sun was rising to the top of the Taehan mountain range, illuminating the treetops with warm light. Wai-chan leisurely walked along the forest road past the trees and felt someone's invisible presence. Someone was watching him. By the barely noticeable rustling and sounds, the hero assumed that it could be none other than assassins sent by the damn twins. Besides the sounds, the guy could even sense the auras of these petty bandits, which was quite useful in the current circumstances. One of the assassins whistled into a special device. It was a signal for his comrades. The leaves rustled, and bright flashes exploded one after another in the treetops. Wai-chan looked up carefully. He had heard about the damn twins' petty bandits but had never encountered them before, especially in such circumstances. The man crouched down and touched the ground to understand how far the bandits were and how many of them there were. The result was as expected. The hero jumped, and behind him, a column of roadside dust and small stones rose. His pursuers were not one or even two people. There were many more assassins than he thought. Wai-chan's attention was drawn again to the flashes in the treetops. He couldn't understand if there was something more significant there or if it was just a play of light and sun glare. The hero decided not to let the situation go unchecked and first deal with this. Twisting, he jumped high. When he touched the ground again, Wai-chan barely managed to stay on his feet. Something had changed, and he noticed it only now. During the landing, the man hit a rope stretched across the road with his heel. It was very careless of him, but now it was inevitable. The rope tightened, activating the net in which the hero got caught, like a mouse in a mousetrap. The petty bandits began to whisper to each other that the foolish man had fallen into their trap. The faces of these assassins were truly eerie. Like bats, the little men descended from the tree branches down to their prey. In each assassin's sleeve was a neatly concealed sharp dagger, which each of them wanted to use. The blade of the dagger sparkled in the sun, showing the well-sharpened edges of the bandits' weapons. The little ones reached their dangerous little hands toward Wai-chan, who was still entangled in the net. But the man wouldn't be himself if he couldn't turn such a situation to his advantage. He firmly grabbed the hand of one of the dwarfs and cut the rope of the net with his blade. When a gap appeared, the hero pushed off and soared high above the heads of the bandits. Instantly, surprised exclamations were heard, and someone among the little ones gave the order to regroup because their opponent turned out to be free. The hero understood that these bandits were not ordinary, and he should exert a bit more effort to deal with them. He formed a simple manhwa with his fingers, concentrating his energy and channeling it to the fingertips. Changing the position of his fingers, he recreated the manhwa of infinite knowledge, accumulating more and more power that circulated within Wei Chan's body. When the hero formed the third manhwa with his fingers, his eyes took on a golden hue, and his gaze became focused and penetrating. The man looked at the tree in front of him. At first glance, there was nothing remarkable about its trunk, it was just a tree. However, looking at it with his inner vision, Wei Chan discerned a small dwarf figure in a brown suit trying to blend in with the surroundings. The bandit had no idea that his location had been exposed. He was very quiet and cautious, but it was already too late. The hero found them all. The tree trunks were literally covered with tiny assassin figures. Still, now their auras were radiating, and the man could clearly distinguish each of them. Wei Chan understood that these little guys were very fast, and he couldn't catch up with each of them. So, he needed to make unconventional decisions. They wouldn't leave him in peace. In the hero's hand were small balls. He took one of them and aimed well at one of the assassins. The little stone flew towards its target, infused with Wei Chan's power. Specks of dust flew off its smooth surface. The bandit hit by the stone turned around, his face distorted with surprise and fear. It was challenging to make out the moving object in the dwarf. The ball hit the bandit right in the forehead. He didn't have time to make a sound, just stared in astonishment and began to fall. The way the dwarf was flying did not go unnoticed by his comrades. They couldn't understand what had happened. After all, there was no equal to them in camouflage, and no one had ever managed to detect them. While the bandits watched the silent fall of one of their own, another stone flew into the head of the next one, who also failed to react in time. One by one, members of the damn twins gang fell from the trees, not understanding what was happening and how someone could see and attack them at all. Those who had not yet received their share of balls dared to launch a second attack on the man who seemed to be calmly standing below. However, Wei Chan was prepared and skillfully dodged the attacks of the assassins, kicking up a trail of roadside dust. The hero attacked an approaching dwarf with a knee to the jaw. The little one winced in pain, and with a loud cry rolled on the ground from the impact of the unfamiliar stranger. Few were as agile as these bandits. Wei Chan surveyed the scene and concluded that there weren't too many attackers, but many of them were very aggressively inclined. One of the dwarfs decided to attack the man from behind, but his actions did not go unnoticed by the hero. He skillfully turned around and kicked the approaching bandit with all his might. The dwarf didn't have time to react. Then Wei Chan decided not to hold back and applied martial arts techniques to his opponents, inflicting maximum damage. An explosion echoed in the valley, and clouds of dust rose from behind the trees. Such was the power of the hero's strike. Not a single warrior from the Social Y assassin squad could escape the powerful attack that the hero utilized. The adversaries were defeated, and Wei Chan pondered that the rumors were true. The damn twins had turned pathetic kids into deadly machines. The more the man thought about the recent battle, the more surprised he was at how cruel the damn clan members were. The twins received a message that their fighters had reached and lured the target into a trap and hurried to the agreed-upon location. However, when they saw the defeated assassins lying in the clearing, both warriors flew into a rage. Bai Yun was outraged by what had happened. No one had been able to defeat the trained warriors among the kids. Only the best of the best made it into the twins' gang. Suddenly, a guy jumped from a tree, and the couple stared at him in astonishment, not understanding what was happening. Wai Chan landed right in front of the twins and disdainfully looked at his wife's relatives. The twins frowned displeasedly. They thought the man had escaped, but he confidently looked them in the eyes without fear or doubt. Shin Ho asked Chan if it was true that the clan's revenge was the work of Wai Chan. The man confirmed and smirked, provoking the twins. Unable to contain herself, Bai Yun, under her own thunderous scream, drew her sword from the sheath. She couldn't tolerate the contempt with which the man spoke about the death of her loved ones and launched a powerful strike. Wai Chan was ready for the attack and quickly gathered energy in one of the techniques familiar to him. The man erected a quite powerful shield that easily deflected Bai Yun's strike. Her efforts were in vain, and her anger only increased. The girl stared incredulously at Wai Chan. She couldn't believe that this upstart could skillfully control energy and successfully repel one of her powerful strikes. Meanwhile, Shin Ho attempted to strike the man from behind, but the hero noticed him in time. Without turning around, the man parried the sword strike from his twin brother, and at that moment, the hero's palms sparkled with a golden light. This surprised Shin Ho. Such mastery was only accessible to very few. How did they not perceive the threat in this person? Shin Ho froze, mouth agape in astonishment. Seizing the momentary weakness of his opponent, Wai Chan grabbed the twin's hand holding the sword. Without exerting much effort, the hero disarmed the opponent, further astonishing Shin Ho. However, in an instant, the twin received a powerful kick to the jaw and went flying to the ground. It's worth noting that the strike was so forceful that Shin Ho was dragged across the ground for about 10 meters before his body came to a halt. His sister rushed to help with disdain and fury. Though she was late, she had no intention of giving up. The girl aimed her sword at the opponent, but Wai Chan stopped the blade with his bare hands. He simply grabbed the edge of the blade and wrested the weapon from Bai Yun's hands. The girl stared in amazement at what was happening and couldn't find words, not even curses, to respond to the man. In desperation, she began to step back slowly, tripping over a stone. She fell, and Wai Chan mockingly asked if she had just started fearing death. Extending his hand forward, energy shimmered around his palm. He looked at Bai Yun and told her to remember all the souls she had lost. With these words, the man placed his hand on the girl's head, and her face was covered in vapor. The hero decided not to be merciful to her. Since Bai Yun showed no mercy to others, he applied a draining technique, extracting life energy from the girl's body. Gradually, her body transformed into a semblance of a human, a skeleton covered with skin. It was a horrifying sight. After a moment, Bai Yun collapsed to the ground. She was no longer herself. She no longer existed. The hero heard some movement behind him and became alert. He hadn't finished off all his opponents. Shin Ho was approaching the man. He was in a terrible state, but he could still stand on his feet, and he was furious. He wanted revenge for his sister. Shin Ho's clothes were torn at the seams, and tatters hung from his body, but where it ripped, his body was visible, acquiring a strange greenish hue. Right before Wai Chan's eyes, this man was transforming into a real monster. Energy enveloped the man's body during the transformation. It was unexpected and incomprehensible. The hero witnessed such a phenomenon for the first time and couldn't believe his eyes. In front of the man stood a green monster with a human body, an animalistic grin, and huge muscles. Wai Chan looked at his old acquaintance and asked if his current appearance was the result of taking the strange pills that Shin Ho had been consuming by the handful. It turned out that the creature was quite intelligent. At least, it replied that the Shangxi Dam pills were no ordinary tablets. These pills were intended only for direct descendants of the Dam family, who would become leaders of their clan in the future. The pills contained a concentrate of internal energy and spiritual enlightenment. To someone as unenlightened as Yang Wei-chan, this meant very little. Still, the man was surprised that this fool knew anything about the remarkable gifts of the Shangxi Dam. However, the green monster decided not to reveal any family secrets to the man and simply squash him like a little bug. But the hero had no intention of giving up. Even before Shinho's transformation, he considered him a monster. Now, it was just the essence of this person prevailing over his external appearance. A bird's cry echoed over the Dam Clan palace. On this day, many birds flocked here, almost the entire flock. The path to the palace was strewn with soldiers trying to protect the clan leader from the invasion of this audacious relative. However, they failed. The surviving soldiers helped those who remained alive. They weren't numerous, but each person now mattered. Suddenly, two guards heard wheezing behind them. They were surprised because they had passed by these bodies several times, and none showed signs of life. The ones whose movements the warriors heard were the head of the Dam clan, the eldest of the men. He still lay motionless, but he breathed deeply and evenly. The old man opened his eyes and didn't understand what was happening. For a moment, he got lost in events and memories. Memory diligently avoided reminding him of the massacre he had recently endured. However, the warriors tried their best to bring the Dam clan leader to his senses, periodically shaking his body and asking if everything was okay with him. Chae Song came to his senses a bit and began questioning the warriors about why the twins went to hunt down this abnormal member of the Yang family alone. Looking at the dead soldiers, the man replied that they couldn't leave Wei-chan alone. This fool doesn't even realize what havoc he caused with his actions. On the one hand, he was magnificent as a fighter, possessing martial arts skills at an unimaginable level of mastery. The old man speculated that Wei-chan had acquired some incredible skills and was capable of much more than he had demonstrated in the hall back then. The man wanted to know all of Wei-chan's secrets, but to do that, he needed to find the guy. He looked at his palm where those miraculous Shangxi pills lay. Chae Song tossed the pills into his mouth and chewed carefully. He decided that, in any case, the young Yang had to die for his audacity, and this time, the leader wouldn't take any risks. Perhaps they were partly to blame for what happened. The Dam family had become lax, and the entrance security was minimal, the soldiers not adequately trained. After taking the pills, the leader's strength significantly increased, and he ascended into the air, astonishing the warriors. They knew Chae Song was strong, but they had no idea it was to this extent. The leader decided it was time to make the clan the strongest in history, starting with the children. They were more obedient in the hands of a skilled mentor. The man's eyes flickered red, and he surged forward, setting his goal. Chae Song always followed it to the end. The valley near the mountain range trembled from powerful blows and angry shouts. As a green monster, Shin-ho possessed incredible power and tried to use it to its fullest, attacking his opponent. However, the guy didn't yield, successfully dodging the blows. Rocks shattered, and trees were uprooted, but none of the warriors wanted to surrender. Shin realized that the guy wasn't inferior to him in power and was very skilled at defending against attacks. It irritated the man. The monster howled that he wanted to fight face to face, not hop around the clearing chasing the hero. Dodging was a sign of cowardice. However, Wei-chan wasn't impressed by the monster's words. He said if the man preferred to die, he would fulfill his wish and stared intensely into the creature's eyes. The Dam clan heir went berserk. No one had dared to speak to him in such a tone and even covertly call him a coward and weakling. He gathered all his strength and rushed toward the guy. The hero remained calm. He extended his hands forward and whispered softly, asking the man to approach because all he represented was just a green pathetic monster. Wai Chan used his internal power and the demonic fist technique, allowing him to increase the strength of his attacks 100-fold. Hundreds of energy-charged fists flew towards the monster, and he howled in pain as the golden threads pierced his body. The guy swung to deliver the final blow. It was the end. The hero's face, especially his eyes, glowed with a bright golden light. Suddenly, the hero heard a strange sound from above and behind. Initially, he thought some assassin had survived and turned around to check. However, the head of the Dam clan was flying down towards him. In flight, the man gathered himself and was ready to deliver a powerful punch. The hero couldn't put up a defense in time, and the man's blow hit directly, throwing Yang forward into the nearest tree. The guy crashed swiftly into the trunk, breaking the tree in half. His face contorted in pain, splinters flew in all directions. This blow was genuinely powerful. The battle in the valley shook even the mountain range. From a distance, one could see dense dust rising above the trees. Behind the head of the Dam clan, Shin Ho appeared. He was surprised to see his father, as he had never come to the aid of his children before, fully trusting them to decide the outcome of any battle. The man looked at his son sternly but with approval. He was glad that Shin had finally merged into a unified whole with the power of the magical Shangxi pills. However, he was also interested in where Bai Yun had disappeared to. The son hesitated, responding to his father's question, and this alarmed the man. He suspected that something irreversible might have happened but hoped to intervene and prevent the situation. The guy pointed in a direction, and looking there, Chae Song saw what was left of his daughter. Bai Yun's desiccated body lay on the ground. The man became even angrier. She was his only beloved daughter, and this Yang dared to inflict irreparable harm to her. Chae Song clenched his fist tightly. Staring attentively at the shell that used to be Bai Yun, the master pondered the technique the hero had used when fighting the girl. It was incredible. The father tossed a small bag containing the miraculous pills to his only heir, instructing him to take all of them at once. But the guy began to hesitate. He knew the irreversible consequences of an overdose. However, the head of the Dam clan insisted that his son take all the pills because the power possessed by Wai Chan was indeed immense, and even he couldn't fathom how strong this young man was. Meanwhile, the hero regained consciousness and appeared behind his enemies. He watched as the father and son tried to enhance their powers and was astonished by the Dam family members' thirst for power, willing to go to any lengths, even at the cost of their own children's lives. The old man saw the approaching guy and asked where this brat got the coveted boundless power. The hero smirked and replied that he received this gift at the doorstep of death, where the orders of the Dam clan leader led him. The man was surprised, but his thoughts were interrupted by an uproar. Turning around, he saw Shin Ho transforming into an even more frightening monster than before. The Dam clan heir roared in pain, his body increased in size, and it felt like the pressure from within would burst the guy's head at any moment. Chae Song cursed. Had he made a mistake? Perhaps his only son had too weak internal energy, and he wouldn't withstand the influence of the pills his father generously gave him. However, there was no time for remorse, and the man ordered the monster to hurry up and finish off Yang before he figured out some trick and dealt with them. The hero watched the conversation between the relatives with interest and was ready not only to defend but also to attack. He leaped skillfully upward just when the monster struck, and the ground beneath his fist erupted, sending soil flying in all directions. Right from behind Shin Ho, the grandfather leaped out and lunged with a wild cry at Wai Chan. It was an unfair duel, 2 against 1, and the guy expected something like this from them. The man put all his strength into the blow and struck the hero's face hard. Sparks even sprayed from the guy's eyes. However, in his attempt to deal maximum damage to the opponent, the clan leader hadn't considered that White Chan would immediately retaliate. He received a kick to the chest and was sent flying to the side. With a crash, the man collapsed to the ground a few meters away from the guys. His fall even created a small pit, and the earth around the old man crumbled into clumps. The mutants saw how powerfully the hero struck his father and decided that he had to relentlessly beat the scoundrel. The guy had killed his sister, and now his father was in danger. Under no circumstances could the man's death be allowed. Making a turn in the air, White Chan jumped from above onto Shinho. The kick caught the monster off guard because the guy used one of his secret techniques. The daimare was cumbersome in his new body and couldn't react quickly or defend himself. He took the full force of the blow with maximum damage. Chae Song, at this moment, came to his senses and witnessed what was happening with his own eyes. It was powerful and incredible, but as a father, he felt annoyance and anger that the technique was applied to his child. Meanwhile, White Chan prepared for a new strike. He leaped over the monster's prone body and prepared to deliver a powerful kick from above, utilizing his full momentum. The man, at this moment, rushed to his son's aid, realizing that this attack by Yang could be fatal for his heir. Beneath Chae Song's feet, the earth crumbled and scattered. White Chan, on the other hand, focused on his next strike. He leaped above the lying monster and prepared to deliver a powerful kick, ready to end the fight and destroy his blood enemies. The hero concentrated his power in his hands and directed it towards his opponents. However, his fist collided with the fist of the eldest of the Dam clan. At some point, all the bones in the old man's body, starting from that very arm, stirred and cracked. It was incredible, only the man himself had ever felt something like that. A wild pain pierced his arm, flashing through every cell of his body, relentlessly destroying the bone structure from the inside. Chae Song was shocked by the injury he had received. Throughout the valley, the old man's cry of pain resounded. His arm was turning into something unusable, accompanied by unbearable pain. The hero didn't wait for the man to recover his senses and delivered another powerful blow. Energy swirled around the guy's fist, indicating that White Chan had put all his internal energy into this strike. He possessed truly overwhelming power. Dam Chae Song, the head of the clan, was defeated. His last words were about how they failed the gold plan and how this young man could have learned about the family's grand plans in the first place. The hero replied that all the answers to his questions would be received by the old man in hell, where he would deliver him immediately. The grandfather's face contorted with malice, pain, and unfulfilled ambitions. He had relied too much on himself and couldn't bear the fact that his plans to magnify the Dam clan at any cost would never come true now. The man fell to the ground and was no longer able to move. His soul had truly departed to hell, where it belonged. White Chan towered over his opponent. This man was detestable to him. After all, because of him, the Yun village was destroyed, and all members of the hero's family, whom they considered relatives to the Dam clan, were killed. Exhaling, the guy turned away and walked away from the battlefield. He was no longer interested in looking at his fallen enemies. He had avenged the Dam clan in full. However, what happened on that day, the massacre of the Dam clan, was an event that changed the course of history and shook the entire country. Various rumors circulated among the people about what had happened. Some said that the ruthless killings were the work of the Four Emperors clan. Other rumors spoke of a powerful demonic cult that had crossed paths with Dam Chae Sun. No one knew the truth and couldn't even guess what had actually happened on that day at the foot of the Tain mountain range. Murim also felt the shock. Its leaders were considered the strongest and exemplary guardians of martial arts and secret knowledge worldwide. To gather enough information about what happened, Murim received messages from all countries several times a day. Understanding how serious the situation could be, the Murim leadership even decided to convene an emergency meeting to discuss the events and possible consequences. Many of those gathered were convinced that the entire massacre was indeed the actions of the Four Emperors clan. At least, this version of events was most often heard behind closed doors where the meeting took place. A formidable man shouted louder than anyone else that they urgently needed to assemble a group of white tigers. However, the leader of Murim, Bekmu, was more objective and balanced. He understood that in case of a mistaken judgment, their community would simply provoke a dangerous group into bloodthirsty actions. Hubo Jin was inflexible, claiming that the Dam clan was close to the Four Emperors, and by supporting such a theory, Murim could forever put an end to this vile clan. Members of the assembly tried to calm the vice leader because if a demonic cult attacked, who could resist further actions? Also, Han Che-jin added that there was information that what happened to the Dam clan was the work of just one person, not any group. The man raised his hands in dismay and continued, he couldn't understand who could be this person. The Dam clan is strong enough to defend itself against the attack of a single person. Che-jin insisted that, for this reason, the priority was to conduct an investigation first and then make serious decisions on this matter. However, they had to think about who they could trust with such a task. While the men were thinking, the silence was broken by the voice of a young man. It was unexpected, and everyone turned with surprise toward the source of the sound. The speaker was a master swordsman from the Azure Dragon clan. He volunteered to conduct a detailed investigation into the situation that led to the extermination of the entire Dam clan. The Azure Dragon clan had 240 young masters, each of whom was a virtuoso with a sword. The men wondered if the clan leader supported the actions of the young man. The young man said that he wished to personally see, at least once, the monster that single-handedly destroyed the entire Dam clan. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave comments to help the new video come out as soon as possible. Have a great day.